Raise your hand if you want another call to action video here in the Nut and Fancy project. Cool. Okay, raise your hand if you are in favor of universal background checks. Do I see any hands raised out there? I bet there's a couple. That's a new politically correct term that is being thrown around now. It is February 2013. You're watching TMP. Universal background checks. Sounds innocuous, sounds harmless. Who wouldn't be in favor of such a thing? Preventing criminals from getting guns, right? That's a sales pitch for UBC. There's another acronym, Universal Background Checks. There is widespread support for this amongst Democrats, amongst Republicans, and there is a very good chance it will pass. Maybe after this video, there will be a slightly reduced chance that it will pass. Because once again, I'm asking you for your help in this next call to action or CTA video, and we are going to work to derail this sucker. Universal background checks. If you are in favor of them, watch the whole video and I might change your mind, because I am going to talk about the reality of instituting so-called universal background checks. You won't like it. I don't care what political stripe you're from, either. Liberal, conservative, libertarian, all across the board, Nolan Triangle. Generally, once you understand the ramifications for the UBC, you won't like it. The main selling point for this is publicly they want to prevent criminals from getting guns, right? That's a selling point. That's what the liberal media everywhere is selling to the American public. And they're buying it hook, line, and sinker right now. Again, with this video, let's change it. Let's get some truth darts out there, flying in the wind. And that's what I'm attempting to do with this video. And with your help, I need your help. My goal for this video, 100,000 views, 100,000 participants. If it's less than that, I'm going to say guys just aren't interested. Girls just aren't interested here in TMP. And you may find me up in the mountains, not doing CTA videos, but doing adventures and just living life and watching from a distance as this whole thing self-destructs. Having tried the fight, having fought the good fight, but I'm trying. I'm in there swinging and I need your support. Big time. So, when they talk about universal background checks, at least now when you watch the news, I hope you don't. I hope you find real and pure information sources. There's so many. One would be the Mark Levin Show, radio show. I highly recommend you listen to that through your iPhone app. There's several sources. TuneIn Radio has it. Mark Levin app. Awesome. Lots of other great sources for information, and you can kind of see what's going on. What really is going on. Universal background checks are not about preventing criminals from getting guns, because they won't work. Right now, we already have in place what is called the National Instant Check System, and it's been out there for a long time. And when you buy a gun on a 4473, that's a federal form that you fill out, and you provide a lot of information about yourself on that form, and it's been that way. This, in my opinion, is already a huge concession we've made as gun owners in the United States. That we've already said, okay, we hate it, but we'll fill out a 4473. We've been doing that for how long? Decades. And that in and of itself is, in my opinion, an appeasement of Second Amendment rights, because it lends itself to abuse. So when you buy a gun at a gun store, at a gun show, they also have 4473s if you buy from a gun dealer. We'll talk about the gun show loophole, so-called. I've talked about it lots already. You're getting background checked already. Okay? And is it a perfect system? No. Nothing the government does will be perfect. And it's a government system. Okay, so that's number one. We already have a background check. It's been in place for decades. It does not necessarily work 100%. Now, they'll throw out a statistic, well, 1.8 million people in the last 10 years were denied gun purchases. Oh, really? Well, when you dig into those statistics, you find out just about like everything else they say, these progressives, these protectionists, it's a lie. Initial denials of 1.8 million, maybe, maybe not, but most of those were false positives. Or there was some other glitch that later on they gained approval for. So initial denials, are you going to go off that and use that as your real data? You're going to say 1.8 million criminals were denied in the NICS system? It's a lie. That is not true. But let's say it was 500,000. Let's say 500,000 criminals were prevented. It's total fantasy, and we'll hit that really hard before this video ends. At what cost does it happen? So you're filling out the 4473. There's legislation, last time I checked, in place that they cannot computerize those records. They cannot seize those records, computerize them, turn it into a database that can be used for confiscation purposes. Well, there's been evidence they've already done that. Okay, I'm kind of getting a little sidetracked here, but I want to drive that home that even if it did work, the cost is not worth it, and that is databasing and creating a national firearm registry on you. So do you think the universal background check is going to weaken the system or strengthen it? Yeah, more than you know, it's going to strengthen it. Absolutely, it will strengthen it. Because in order to do so-called universal background checks, they want to close, like I was going to say, the gun show loophole. The gun show loophole, what is that? Well, that's where people go to the gun shows, right? And they buy guns illegally? No. That's not what the gun show loophole is about. When people go to gun shows, they buy from an FFL, and the FFL, again, does an NICS background check. He does paperwork. He does a 4473. It's a totally legal purchase. What they're talking about is private-to-private transfers. Just like I talked about in Gun Control Slapdown in 2009, one of my first gun rights videos I put out there. They want to end that. They don't like private-to-private sales at all. They don't want you to be able to go sell to your neighbor, your friend, your child, to buy a gun from your grandfather. They hate that. So when they talk about universal background checks, what they're talking about is ending private-to-private transactions as we know them. Now, when I talked about for the greater good, I said what's going to happen in the United States is we're going to turn into California. And California is already like that. If you sell a gun, you have to go through an FFL. There is a paper trail created. There is a record made of that serial number, the type of firearm it is, and lo and behold, it's databased. And in that state, they do have a database, a registry. If my facts are straight, I think they are. That's what's going on, and that's what they want to have nationwide. Under the very cool sounding name, the very innocuous sounding name of universal background checks. When you hear that, I want you to think to yourself, it's not about background checks, it's about creating a national firearms registry of you. And here's the scariest part of this, is in order for it to work, they will have to have national registration. So if universal background checks passes, the Senate, the House, signed into law, what's going to happen, predicts I, is they're going to say, hey, we need some more legislation to make this a reality. The public already said they want this. In order to make this a reality, we need national firearms registration. Guys, hey, you already said you wanted this. That's what they're going to do. So lo and behold, here comes a national firearms registry add-on bill to that, and it will pass. And now you got to register everything. Your pistols, your shotguns, your semi-autos. And wow, get ready. This is huge for them. So right now we have effectively stalled, it's not dead, it's just stalled, the assault weapons ban. Okay, it's February 2013, events move fast, events can change. I talked about this in other CTA vids. Who knows where it's going to go. But that's where we are now. Great job on that, by the way. I think we generated, 50,000 letters to the Senate Judiciary Committee, to those senators, the Democratic senators. So there is power in this focused effort we're doing in the Nut and Fancy Project. I remain convinced. It's a small piece of the puzzle. There's lots of great freedom organizations working out there for us. We're part of that team, though, unified. So lo and behold, they're going to come out with, says me, tag-on legislation. In order to make universal background checks effective, we need national registration. Bam. There you go. There's a reality of what's going on. There's a reality of what they want to do when they say they want to close the so-called gun show loophole. They want national registration. Why? Because they want national confiscation. You know that. If you're watching this video to this point, you know I'm speaking truth. That's what they want. You know, and they'll throw out other statistics to you. What did I get tonight? I was just surfing around a little bit. 40% are sold without background checks right now. Really? You sure about that number? Larry Pratt from Gun Owners of America totally railed on that number. It's like, hey, that's not right at all. I agree with that. They're talking about gun shows, by the way. Like 40% are sold without background checks. No. Bogus. And even if they were, who cares? It's a private-to-private transfer. Who cares? You know, that's been going on for how long here in the United States of America? Is that the root of criminal activity? Violent gun crime in the United States? Absolutely not. It's not. Criminals don't go through NICS. They do not fill out a 4473 by and large. There's probably a few that slip through the background check. You'll never make it 100%. They probably lie to the questions. They get their gun, but most don't. They'll get it through illegal means. They'll steal their guns, thus completely undermining the public reason and rationale behind so-called universal background checks. Well, it's going to lead to safer streets. We won't have school shootings anymore. No, it won't. Adam Lanza would not have been prevented from doing what he did by a so-called UBC. It's fantasy. They always cloak it in these innocuous sounding terms, and that's what they're perpetrating on the American public again. And we need truth darts like this video out there, cutting asunder their lies. They'll throw out too, 6 million guns a year are unscreened. What? Where do they even get that statistic from? I highly doubt that. Most people are completely screened. They do fill out 4473s. They do go through NICS, and they're called American citizens complying with a ridiculous law as it's in place right now. What a lie. 94% of police chiefs support it. 87% of Americans support it. 74% of the NRA members support it. I don't believe these statistics, but if they're true, I don't think they are. People need to wake up. Because, like I said, it will create a national firearms registry on you. And if you're caught not obeying it, felony charge. 10 years in prison. Got your attention now? Yeah, protectionists. What are they really after? Protecting society? No. Disarming you. Like I said in my political videos last fall, prior to the election, I mean, you want to get along in the new Obama, society, the new America. Don't be armed. You're seeing that now, aren't you? So in your letter, we need to write letters to our congressman yet again, and we may do it over and over and over again. But in this one, we're very focused. We're not talking about AWB. We're not talking about this. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about magazine capacities. We are going to talk solely about UBC. Universal background checks. Point 1. I didn't type my letter out already, but I may put one in the sidebar description for you. You can use it, change it, write your own, but you have to write a letter. If you watch this video, you have to write the letter. That is part of this whole process. Because right now, your senators, your representatives are laboring under the misconception that there is huge support for this. They need to hear from thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people saying, we are not for this. And this is what we're going to tell them. Point 1, there's already a national instant check system. It's been in place for a long time. We already undergo screening through a federal database through NICS. We already fill out a Form 4473. We already divulge our private details to a level we are not comfortable with right now. It's already there. And it's not 100% effective because it's a government program. No government program has ever been 100% effective. And they'll throw out a stat like, well, the Virginia Tech shooter, he bought his gun legally and they didn't catch it. Well, that's the problem of Virginia, I guess, that they didn't report his mental problems, that they weren't talking to the federal government. That's not your problem. That's not my problem. Okay? And that is fraught with some problems as well. Well, we need to strengthen the background check. We need to make it so this and that is included in it. Be careful if you go down that slippery slope, because what are they going to do next? And this is a point we're going to say. And you're going to say there's some unattended abuses that can happen with UBC. Because right now, well, we just want to prevent criminals from having guns. Oh, really? Well, what else? What's next? You know that this is included from your medical history, that you were on Prozac back in 1997. And because of that, suddenly, with a stroke of a pen, there's an executive order says if you ever took antidepressant medications, I never have, but a lot of people have. But let's just say some dude has. Got off them, not doing it, but now it's a disqualifier for gun ownership. Thanks to the tie-ins with your medical records. Because of the strengthened UBC system. It's not NICS anymore, it's UBC, and now it encompasses everything. And they can add anything in there they want. It's an existing mechanism to deny you the right to own guns. So we're going to talk about that. There's a lot of unintended consequences if this is put in place. And third point, it's actually about ending private sales. It's not about a gun show loophole. It's not about preventing criminals from getting their guns. I'll mention in my letter, criminals get their guns illegally anyhow. Vast majority do. It's about ending private sales and controlling private sales with the ultimate goal of shutting them down completely. Criminals avoid filling out a 4473, generally speaking. Just like we talked about. And it also set, and this is the last point I'm going to make in my letter, is it sets up confiscation. So now this will create, like we talked about, a national firearms registry. And now they know what you have. You were stupid enough to register it. Now you're on their radar screen. I was talking to a dude in California a couple weeks ago, a friend of mine. He goes, yeah, I have this and I have that, and I'm not going to register this gun and register that gun. I'll register maybe one or two. I was like, well, did you buy your guns legally in California? He goes, yeah, I did. I was like, well, dude, they already know what you got. You can't just say you lost them. You're on the database. You have that gun. You are accountable to that serial number. He didn't understand that. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, you bought it under their system. They're going to say, hey, where's this AR-15? This California compliant AR-15 serial number such and such. Well, I lost it. That won't fly. Under that program. See what I'm saying? Once you have registration, look out. Because now you are accountable to that serial number. You can't just say, oh, they fell over on a boat. Prior to it, you can say, hey, I sold it. I didn't keep any records. The guy didn't want to have records. And by the way, we've been selling guns in the Nut and Fancy project here. And I'll tell you, people do not want to give any information. Usually we'll look at the driver's license, try to verify the person. We qualify them on our own level, to our own business. Person to person, private, private. Nothing to do with the government. That's just our business. Make sure we're selling it to someone we feel like that's a good dude. They don't want to give information. Under the current law, in most states, not all, some of the battles already lost, you can do that. You can sell private to private, no records kept at all, completely legal. They can't say a thing about it. Ding dong, hey, where's this gun? I don't know, I sold it. Well, you can't sell it. Who says? There's no law saying I couldn't sell it. Well, you need to keep a record. No, I don't. I don't need to keep a record. Well, you need to tell us who bought it. No, I don't again. You're wrong. You have no legal standing whatsoever under current law. Universal background checks pass. That's all said and done, bro. It's done. Now they got you. Now it is law. Ding dong, where's this gun? Oh, I lost it. It fell over on a boat. Oh, really? You're coming with us. You were accountable to that. We knew you had it. You went through the system. You bought it from an FFL in country and in the U.S. You see what I'm saying? Onerous. The government will control the process. In most states, not all, most states, people control the process. You want to sell a gun via a website? Sell a gun via a website. I'm talking locally. If you sell the gun, send it off like Gun Broker or something, you're going to have to go through an FFL already. If you're pro-freedom, pro-constitution, pro-privacy, I think you're either stupid or very naive if you support a national firearms registry, a federal database with your name in it, all your personal details, and all the guns you have entered into that database, if you support it. Well, I don't support it. I support UBC, Universal Background Checks. Well, if you support those, you're going to support a database because there's no way that will work unless they have a database where they know where all the guns are and who owns those guns and what transactions are taking place. The groundwork for that will be a database, a registry. You watch. Yeah. So if you support that and you say, hey, yeah, that's cool, I'm all for it. Dude, come on. Wake up. It's like you're telling the federal government, I'm okay if you attach 2 high voltage electrical leads to my scrotum. Seriously. It's a ridiculous example, I know, but it's very true. Watch. Because initially as they're attaching the scrotum wires, they're saying, hey, dude, we're not going to turn on any electricity. It's okay. Trust us. It's for the greater good, for societal safety. It will prevent bad guys from getting guns. We just need these 2 wires on your scrotum. Well, 6 months transpires, a year transpires, a couple years, and then lo and behold, they say, hey, pump shotguns, illegal. Bolt action rifles now are sniping rifles, illegal. Hey, you registered those under the National Firearms Registry. We know you have them. You are accountable to them, just like we talked about. We're taking them. Here comes the electrical charge to your scrotum. Because you were stupid enough to allow them to hook up the wires, the database. But I didn't think it was going to happen. Well, I didn't think they'd do this. Well, what else do you think they're going to do? It's the government. And look who's in charge of the government, where we're going. Are we going more pro-freedom? Or are we going towards a communist country? Yeah, I said it. Said it before in other videos. That's where we're headed. At breakneck speed. So if you think they're not going to, pour some juice through those wires, you're stupid, man. Now's the time. Now's the time you fight it politically, legally, peacefully, but forthrightly, with great energy, great enthusiasm. Because if you don't, your ballsack, dude, is going to get fried. I'm just saying, it is. Because you allowed them to attach the wires, and they are going to pump all types of electricity through that. I know, it's an absurd example, but I think I'm making my point with it. Because they got you. We know exactly what guns you have, and all we got to do is pass a law that says that gun is now illegal, and we're going to come collect it. Because you were for this. The UBC, you were for it. You said so in 2013. All types of unintended consequences and abuses with this program, some of which I haven't even mentioned yet. For instance, your name could be released through a Freedom of Information request. But you're in the database, and lo and behold, just like happened in New York by that paper, your name is published. Hey, here's an AR-15 owner. Hey, here's an owner with over 500 rounds since, hey, what do you know? They tagged on an arsenal attachment to that. Just like the UK laws have done for decades. Every year there's a new thing comes out, More restrictions to firearms ownership till it's pretty much illegal. Oh, but nutnfancy, you can have an FAC in UK. I know, but it's pretty difficult. It's ridiculous. Come on. What's next? What are they going to tag on next? Bolt action rifles, over 500 rounds stored on your premise. You allowed the wires. Here it is. How about medical and health denials? You're on the Prozac. You had an episode of this. They look into your medical records. They didn't like what they saw. Your right to own guns is subsequently taken away. Without any hearing, without any trial, without any way to fight back. Because they'll pass a law to make sure you don't have that ability. All part of this National Firearms Registry for the greater good, guys. We're protecting you. Don't you like it? Rationing. Hey, you have too many guns. As part of the so-called universal background check, we're going to limit how many guns you can have. You can buy 1 per year. And that's if your police chief signs off on it. After you go through more hoops, more taxation, more fees. Don't think it cannot happen here in the United States. Again, ask the UK guys. Heck, ask the California guys how that works. Can tie into a national ID card. Because now you have a database. You can be classified as a threat to the Republic because you're a gun owner. Hey, we have an electronic database there. We can track these people. We can do whatever we want with that database. Yeah. In some ways, a lot of states already have those types of ID cards. Have you seen lately what is required on your driver's license in your state when you re-up your driver's license? Ooh, you haven't done that, have you? Go look, because pretty much all of the national ID stuff is in the state driver's license. Yeah, it is. It sucks. We already have a mechanism in place to screen for it. It's NICS. It's been there forever. We already signed off on that. We ain't going any further. That's already a huge intrusion into your privacy. It's already being, data-based, contrary to law. Yeah. But since you sign off on UBC, now anything they want to restrict, they'll restrict it. Here comes the juice to you know where. Get ready. You're going to have more robberies to people who have guns as that information is leaked out and becomes public. Maybe more deaths as these criminals who don't go through UBC, who don't go through NICS, who don't go through 4473 process, the federal form when you buy a gun, they rob you. They rob the police. They get it on the black market. It's always been that way. Why would it change with laws? Have laws ever stopped violent crimes? No. Violent criminals? No. And then last, definitely not least, universal background checks, which is a national firearms registry, will lead to out-and-out confiscation. There you go. Next call to action video, you need to get busy. Look in the sidebar description. If I have a letter there, if I've written one, I'll put it there in PDF form. You can cut, paste, change, do whatever you want. You need to fire it off to all your senators and all your representatives. They need to know right now from the Nut and Fancy Project, from you, that you're not for so-called universal background checks, that it will lead to all the stuff we're talking about. It is a huge, huge win for the progressives, for the protectionists. If you don't like it, if you don't like electrical shocks to your scrotum, you need to get busy. This is Nut and Fancy. I'm not even in the mood to make this video tonight, but I'm working hard for you. I am. So support me in it. I'll make some more. See ya.